Israel has finally become a superpower. At least this is what was reflected in a fascinating article in the respected bi-monthly The American Interest, which has been publicized this last week. The writers of this article say an amazing thing. They say Israel for the first time is part of the 8 powers of the world of 2017, says the article. After countries like the United States of America, China, Japan, Russia, Germany, etc., Israel is in the top 8 of the world. This is nothing more than a miracle in less than 70 years. Now that it is true that with power comes enormous responsibility, but I think we need to spend a moment to celebrate what Israel means in terms of another opposite value, and that is powerlessness. For most of our 2,000 years, of the last 2,000 years of history, we know that not only does power corrupt, as Lord Acton has said, but many thinkers say powerlessness corrupts even more. And if there's anything that Jewish history has taught us, it is this. And I think this is one of the powerful messages in this week's Parasha, Va'era, as the Jewish people are about to be redeemed from powerlessness and leave Egypt. Incredibly, we see that powerlessness and servitude and victimhood of over 100 years of slavery in Egypt corrupted the Jewish body and the Jewish soul. The Jewish body, like lambs to the slaughter, so to speak. The firstborn were tossed into the river, as we know. A holocaust in Egypt. Many people with back-breaking labor in horrific camps in Egypt, and many died a terrible death. And Moses and Aaron attempt to redeem the Jewish people in last week's parasha, following the direction of God, and they do not succeed initially, and it only gets worse for the Jewish people as it ends in last week's parasha. It corrupts also the soul. The Ibn Ezra says in a famous comment in last week's parasha that the reason why Moses specifically, remarkably, had to grow up in Pharaoh's palace is because he had to be a free spirit, not one who had been, the words he uses is nefesh shvela, that his soul would not be corrupted through the horrific servitude and backbreaking labor. And only he, as a free independent person growing up in the house of Pharaoh, could indeed redeem the Jewish people. And furthermore, as we know, in the famous Midrashim, in Midrash Rabbah and Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, something we all know, that the Jewish people in this week's parasha were on the 49th level of spiritual impurity. They had got to a level that almost, if it were not for the direct intervention of God miraculously, we would not have been redeemed. And therefore, the redemption of Egypt, miraculously in this week's parasha, where God announces to Pharaoh, to Moses in Va'era, that I am revealing myself to you, Moses, and now I'm going to redeem the Jewish people through acts of open miracles. If not for God's direct intervention, the powerlessness and servitude in Egypt would have corrupted the Jewish people to an extent that, God forbid, we may no longer have existed if not for the grace of God. And therefore, just as the Jewish people come out of Egypt through the intervention of God and the plagues, and with a sense of dignity, self-confidence, and freedom, and are able to begin to celebrate the sense of independence and deal with the challenges of power, so too in our generation, how fortunate we are. It is only not even 70 years since the establishment of the State of Israel, after 2,000 years of corruption of the Jewish body and soul, of so many people losing their lives throughout Jewish history, as we know, throughout the Crusades and the pogroms and the ghettos, as we all know, culminating with the horrific Shoah, and also the corruption of the Jewish spirit. The sense of inactivity, that there's nothing we could do to redeem ourselves, that only God who can redeem us, and there is no human involvement. But yet over the last 100 years we have seen the partnership of human involvement being blessed by God, and what salvation and incredible positivity has brought to the Jewish people. So may we revel in this newfound power. May we revel and celebrate in our redemption from powerlessness, and hope and pray to God that we are able to continue from surviving to thriving as we do today, and with humility and prayer, that we are able not only to celebrate our redemption from powerlessness, but also to stand up to the moral and spiritual challenges of power in our generation. Shabbat Shalom.